Honourable Minister, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Finance Malta's 6th Annual Financial Services Conference, which this year bears the theme, Competing in Global Markets, the New Normal. It gives me immense pleasure to open this conference this morning, but it is definitely immensely pleasing to witness this level of participation. We have 265 delegates registered for this conference, which we had to close last Wednesday, unfortunately because of insufficient seating. Because in itself, it is a reflection of the increased interest, in my view, that is being exhibited by operators, both locally and international, in Malta's growing financial services sector. This is the 6th edition of this conference, so it was a bit difficult trying to come up with a suitable theme and topic. It becomes difficult year on year. But I think Competing in Global Markets, the New Normal, is a very, very fitting title for this conference because it reflects the micro and macroeconomic environment that today we are operating in. And I believe if pictures could say 1,000 words, then definitely this slide sums it all up. Because it is a reflection, in my view, of the state of play in the European marketplace, particularly in the Eurozone. The Eurozone has been gripped by year-on-year debt quakes, unfortunately, driven by corporate and sovereign bailouts, which have led, in some countries, to austerity measures. This has definitely had an impact on the economy, as we see strong unemployment numbers cropping up. Spain just announced a couple of days ago that the level of unemployment is at the level of some 27%, particularly in the younger generation, where you expect entrepreneurial spirit. As a result of the crisis, we've seen re-regulation coming our way. We've come from a decade of deregulation, and I firmly believe we're entering into a decade of re-regulation. A number of regulations, laws, acronyms flying everywhere. Solvency II, AFIM, UCITS 5, we're also talking about UCITS 6, CRD, Basel III. So it's changing the dynamics of the industry for sure, and I think these are the challenges that the industry is facing. On the one hand, they're trying to grapple with the market dynamics that the new regulatory environment is bringing up and about, and hopefully within a European context, we're not losing sight of the changing trends, which I think are shaping differently the competitive landscape. So within this context, we came up with the content of a conference which aptly reflects these developments. We have sessions on the economy, on the banking union. We'll talk about Malta beyond Europe, because we definitely believe that the competitive landscape is changing, and there are opportunities to develop this industry beyond the European marketplace. We'll talk about corporate governance. It's becoming increasingly a highly interesting topic in our industry. The realities of setting up in Malta, and in the afternoon, we'll touch a bit on opportunities as well as challenges, the challenges facing the asset management industry, particularly through ETFs. The use of trusts and foundations have been very successful in Malta, as well as the opportunities for the Malta Stock Exchange. Then we have a speaker in the afternoon from Ernst & Young, Richard Ogden, who will speak about tax and opportunities for economic growth that are coming up and about of late. And lastly, we'll have the closing address of Honorary Chris Cadona, who's the Minister of Economy, Investment and Small Business. I'm quite confident that you'll find the content of this conference and the topics therein to be quite relevant to your own operation in this field in some form or shape. I'll quickly move on to 2 line items and this introduction. First of all, a quick snapshot of the performance of the industry over 2012. Some of the key initiatives undertaken by Finance Malta during the course of last year, and our plans going forward. Let's start quickly with the funds industry. Continued growth traction. It's amazing, the paradigm shift we've seen in this industry from one which was very much driven by the local market to one which has become truly international. I always say this industry, you can describe it in one word in 1995 when it started. One. Because we had one fund, we had one custodian, and we had one fund manager. Today, evidently, we're seeing clusters shaping the industry, 26 administrators, some 70 asset managers, just short of 600 funds. So very strong growth in this particular sector. Moving on to the insurance sector, equally strong growth here. The industry has grown 7-fold up to the last year, up to the end of December 2012, and grown 8-fold up to the end of March. So from just 8 operators in 2004, we have now 66 operators, insurance operators, operating in Malta and from Malta. And that says a lot about the internationalization of this industry. Interestingly enough, if you look at the gross premiums written, they're in the region of about 1.7 billion as at the end of 2012, with the great majority of that insuring risks outside our shores. So Malta is being used as a hub from where to conduct this business. Equally, the total cash and investments held by the companies operating in this sector, which last year has grown to over 3 billion. Actually, it's 3.5 billion from 1.17 billion in the previous year. Again, remarkable numbers. Banking was talk of the town insofar as Malta is concerned over the last few weeks, but clearly our nimbleness in addressing and quelling some of the articles and comments, I think, serve their purpose, and we now have more clarity on the strong status of the banking sector in Malta. Equally strong growth here, particularly in financial institutions, which have expanded by 50%, just over 50% over the course of last year. So very strong growth here as well. And the banking sector is relatively very strong, as you'll see from some of the international attestations that I'll present shortly. And lastly is the trust sector. I believe Malta has established itself as a reputable jurisdiction for the setting up of trusts in Malta, and that is reflected for sure in the amount of trust companies that are setting up in Malta to manage and administer trust business. Beyond what we say in conferences, through webinars, podcasts, documentation, I think international attestations are always invariably important. And I think these 6 points here say it all. The first 4 points reflect the financial services industry, but I think equally important are the last 2 attestations. Insofar as the quality of maths and science education in Malta, very relevant for this sector, and the strength of auditing and reporting, and the quality of the education system. Clearly, these are important attestations. We are ranked out of a total of 144 countries. So more or less, we're in the top decile. And I think these are laudable statistics, and we should ensure that we remain in this ranking. As to FinanceMalta, we've been very active again last year, for sure assisted by the many members of FinanceMalta in the different sectors. We've organized no less than 29 national and international initiatives, spanning across different sectors that we support, with its funds, insurance, banking, trusts, and even wealth management in different markets. We're very careful not to overstretch ourselves, to dilute our message, but we know that there are opportunities in other regions, and we're currently conducting a strategic engagement with Ernst & Young to assess the opportunities in different markets, and we'll be sharing this information with you in the coming weeks. We've been present in the print media. We've supported and sponsored quite a number of reports. Obviously, strengthening the visibility of Malta outside our shores is imperative going forward. So we've been present in the key publications led by key media houses. On the PR side, we've hosted a number of journalists. We've visited a number of media houses outside our shores to speak about Malta, to showcase the industry outside our shores. We've contributed a number of thought leadership articles as well, contributed by our various members, and I'd like to thank all of you who take their time on a pro bono basis to support us in this respect. Technology remains an important plank in our promotional strategy, and we've leveraged this through our website. We've invested in search engine optimization, and you can see the numbers, 62% year-on-year growth in visits to our website, so very strong growth in that respect. And I think the interesting number is the fact that 62% of these numbers are new visitors, and I think that's a very, very important metric. In fact, to support our website, we entered into social media. I'll divulge some statistics very shortly, and that has assisted in picking up the numbers. We've just launched a new website yesterday. In fact, this event is being streamed live over the internet through our website. It has significant functionalities, new functionalities, ease of navigation, information, more detailed information about the members, a detailed directory, and it provides latest news and stories from both the local market and even internationally. Email marketing has remained important. We have a very strong database of contacts we've established over these past 6 years, and we ensure that we keep in touch with our database. Very good open rates, from 17% to 44%, which is quite laudable in email marketing. Social media, you recollect that last year I announced that FinanceMalta will be entering into social media using the main platforms, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook as well. New media planks for those promoting products, services, or jurisdiction in our case. And we've had very good numbers. If you look at the reach and the impressions through our social media, and we're very active in both Twitter, Facebook in particular, and LinkedIn, the reach and penetration is impressive, and we're achieving high single-digit, low double-digit growth on a month-on-month basis. So it was definitely a very good decision to use this medium as a platform to promote Malta. I think in concluding this brief address, it is clearly evident that Malta's financial services industry, despite the challenges that the industry is facing by way of what's happening in Europe, is on a fast growth traction, in my view, across all sectors. So definitely that augurs well for the industry going forward. Clearly, we must keep our feet on the ground. I think we must remain focused on our value proposition. I firmly believe that our jurisdiction is underpinned by the value proposition that it provides, the critical success factors that have made this industry successful over the past years, if it's our intellectual capability, our responsiveness, our cost competitiveness, and other factors. I think as well that there are some key imperatives, two of which are that we need to remain nimble. We need to remain nimble, we're small, and that's our advantage, in my view, to ensure that we manage the challenges in a timely manner. But more than that, I think we need to foster innovation. I think there is strong room to foster innovation through the collaboration between government, the industry, and the regulator, because obviously we need to differentiate ourselves by being innovative. I firmly believe that to do anything, you need ownership. And clearly, the think tank that was set up late last year worked incessantly with the associations. We submitted some 150 recommendations to government. I know some of them are already in the Budget Act and they have been approved by Parliament, but there are others that need to be definitely followed up. Lastly, the strategic engagement. We've been promoting Malta for the last 6 years. So the board felt that we needed to reassess and reaffirm and identify new areas of business and opportunities for Malta. We have people from Ernst & Young and FinanceMalta staff. We have a survey. We'd welcome your contribution to the survey because we'd like to build this strategy in conjunction with the industry. Going forward, we'll build initiatives over the same lines as we've done last year. So we'll strengthen our initiatives in the market. Micro-marketing is definitely on the books for us. So we're targeting individual companies who we feel are interested to extend their footprint into Malta, and definitely technology will remain a central plank for us. Lastly, all this organization would not have been possible without our sponsors. A particular special appreciation to HSBC Bank Malta, who are the platinum sponsors of this conference, as well as to the other sponsors who assist us in funding and financing this event. The government of Malta, the management team at FinanceMalta, who have worked incessantly, I can assure you, to ensure that we keep the high level attributed to such events. The MFSA, always finding them of assistance on technical matters and always readily available. Malta Enterprise and MTA, Tourism Authority, with whom we have organized joint initiatives over 2012. And last but not least, you, our members, industry practitioners and operators, who definitely are the raison d'etre for us being here today. That's all from my end. Just a very brief introduction. I'd like now to introduce Professor Scicluna, the Minister of Finance. He needs no introduction, definitely in Malta, but for the benefit of our members, I'll just read out his CV. Professor Scicluna is Malta's Minister for Finance. Prior, he was an MEP and served as Vice Chair of the Economic and Monetary Affairs Committee in the European Parliament, Professor and Head of the Department of Economics at the University of Malta, Chairman of the Malta Financial Services Authority in the past, Chairman of the Malta Council of Economic and Social Development, and Central Bank of Malta Director. Professor Scicluna graduated from the University of Oxford, Malta, and Toronto. I now invite Professor Scicluna to the audience. Thank you.